nothing. Pardon me while I sharpen my thick kindergartner pencil. Luckily I have a whole bunch of blank staff paper on hand here. My lovely wife printed for me. Okay. Well, getting ahead of myself. What I really have to do is write in my extra measures here. So I'm going to do an 8 measure introduction right there. But I think on the course, if you'll notice, there are a lot of breaks already. So I think I'll leave it like it is. Ah, that was easy. Okay. Because drip. Trypanomania. Attention deficit. Oppositional defy. Oh. Well, whatever. But that's enough to show you that it has a lot of gaps already. Somehow they're just already in there. So I think we'll leave that alone. In a minute we'll go back and... No, we won't. I don't want to do that. That'll drive me insane. I don't think I have to do that. I was going to say I'll go back and number each of the measures, but the problem with that is you get them all numbered, and then as you're going through you realize, oh, oops, there's a measure that goes right here, so now that's 87 measures that you have to change the number. Not a fan. Okay, so 8 measure introduction. Go through all of this. There are sort of 2 halves to this. Do we want a greater gap? I think we do. This is kind of arbitrary. How I'm just kind of... I just decided instead of a 4 measure introduction, I'm going to do an 8 measure. I'm not going to take the time to figure something out that only takes 4 measures and then figure something out that only takes, or that takes 8 measures and compare it. No. I just decided 8 measure introduction. That's just how it's going to go. It's going to end up being a little bit of a long song. It's not going to be 3 minutes, even though we're speeding it up. So, leading into the first verse. How much of a break? That is a really good question. Okay, so I just decided another little thing. This, the very last note of the first half of the chorus occurs at the very beginning of a measure, so I'm going to count that as one of my 4 measures. I just decided that. I thought through it in my head, and anyway. The good news is it'll be easy to, once I'll show you on GarageBand, you select the number of measures you're going to do. And then it's very easy just to select I'll probably just select one of the ones offered within GarageBand, just a drumming click track. And then if I were to go through and create the entire first track, well, this will be the second track if you're going to count the drum track, with that bass that I showed you, all that crap. And then I'm going to sing along to it. Maybe I'll just sing along to it without recording it, right? So I'm not creating that track. That's a very good idea. But I get to a certain point in the song and I'm like, well, that didn't feel right rhythmically. I think I need an extra measure there. I can probably just go through it a couple, 3 times, singing along to my bass track to detect anything that I want to change. And that bass track is so easy to record that I can just do it again, you know? Plus, I'll parse it up. A lot of times when I'm recording one track, I'll do it in 2 different tracks. I'll show you how I do that. And it's always really seamless. It sounds like it all happened at the same time. Well, no, it didn't. I was switching between 2 tracks because I'll be going along and I'll make a mistake. Oh, crap. I don't just start the whole track over again. I'm using 2 different, it's a little bit hard to explain. I'm not even sure I'll be able to adequately explain it as I'm doing it, but I'm not going to think of an analogy. Anyway, the point being, as I'm going along, if I make a mistake, I just stop that track and I can back up what I've recorded and erase the mistake and move to the track just below, which I'm doing this same exact thing. It's going to be, let's say it's my bass track. Oh, crap, I screwed that up. You just back it up, go to the track right beneath that you've already set up in advance, and then you hit record, and right after you hit record, you can hear everything you've already recorded. I mean, you can turn stuff down and eliminate tracks if you want, if you don't want to hear certain stuff, but you can hear everything that you recorded, and then you'll just start on that other track that's going to also be the bass line. You just pick up where you left off. I kind of figured that out with the experience I've already had making these multi-track recordings, so that you don't have to just, oh man, I screwed up, I gotta start the whole track again even though I'm right at the end. No, you don't have to do that. Alright, enough of that crap. Let's just do 4 right here. Write myself a little note that I'm including this current measure because I did. The same thing. Well, it's the same melody repeated twice. That was not a big surprise, was it? So I think that's good. Let's just go with that. Like I said, if I get into it and I'm singing along to the bass track and I go, I want an extra measure there, or I want 8 instead of 4 there, or I hate that I have 8 there, I want 4. I can go back and, with my pencil, make all those changes and then just re-record the bass track. Add or subtract measures from the system. the GarageBand system. It'll be easy. I better not write it down again. So 4 measures there. Maybe I should just do 2 between each of these lines. Sorry, I'm thinking. Just to shorten the song. That's a tough decision to arbitrarily make. Yeah, just 2. Still arbitrary, but it feels right in this moment. So right here, and then right. We did the chorus. I think we're doing that 3 times though, so that'll be interesting. In a minute, I'll count measures and just get a full count. Not easy, but once we get a final product, it's going to sound a lot better than just me plunking the chords on the piano and singing along. It's going to be better. If you've heard No More Love Songs, you can see what's possible. That's just me recording right into my iPad. I don't have a microphone. Well, I bought one, but it didn't sound as good as my iPad microphone. So I just used the iPad, man. I did kind of create a vocals booth. All right, don't get sidetracked. So right there, we should do at least 4, I would say. I don't know. Indoctrination. Yeah, we'll just do 4. So we'll split the. Let's see. Yeah. So once again, we'll use, conversely, the second half of this particular verse. I don't know if that'll hold true for the second verse. We'll find out in a minute, but yeah, because this is different than the first half of the first verse. It begins at the very end of a measure, the last count. So I'm going to count that particular measure as part of my 4-measure interlude. Oh, that was a fancy word, wasn't it? You're welcome. All right. So I put those 2 measures right there. So there will be another 2 right here. Man, I just don't even have any space here. I hope I see all of these. Oh well, like I said, it'll be easy to record the bass line track a second time. It's not going to be a good big deal. I just want to prepare all of my expectations because I talked to you about duplicated effort and how much I loathe that. But I'm just preparing myself because there's always going to be that duplication of effort. Just got to relax. Okay. 2 measures there, 2 measures here. 4 measures there. Boy, how do I handle this? I've got 2 beats. Individual motivation. Let's just leave it. So that'll be a little different, but it's okay. The funny thing about this is as you're acquiring the taste, of this song and it's getting into your ear, your heart, your mind, your soul, you just accept how it goes. So there are many songs that something rhythmically comes up that I think, what were they thinking there? But I hear it enough times and I just about half of the rough songs have that goofy 7 beats per minute thing that happens that I already talked ad nauseum about. And when I first hear that, I'm like, oh, what are they doing? But I just acquire the taste and learn to love it. So that's how this will be. There's not a perfect way to do this, so just it's all right if there's yeah, we'll do 2 right here. I should be doing this like in red pen. Maybe I'll go back. And do it in 10. Okay, so first verse. What do we decide here? Leading into the chorus. Well, I'll just do 2. I'm getting tired of getting so specific. And then chorus. Just go back. Only 4. Yeah. Just go with it. So chorus. And then I guess another 4 after the chorus. It'll be okay. Or two. We decided to just do two between these little phrases, didn't we? Two there. I don't know if you're like me, but as I go through something, right at first, I can sit there and take the time to really think things out and talk things out, but as I can sense that the end is nigh, I tend to start to rush. And as I rush, I begin to doubt that I've hit all of the spots. Iteration, exaggeration, denunciation, approbation, rumination, okay, I'm going to stop for just a sec. We the livestock devoid of rumination. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, for Pete's sake. Four, right? Is that what we did before? Chorus. Wait. I forgot I was going to write a... I'm going to write a... bridge. So we got to pause from all this. Where's the chorus? Oh, right here. There's part of the chorus. No. This is the first verse. This must be the chorus right here. I guess it's our first thing. Why these need to be in perfect order, I don't know. Don't ask me. Put those aside right there. So as I was driving around, kind of had an idea for put it right there. All right. So we gotta write some lyrics. I gotta write some lyrics. When we say we, I'm kind of artificially including you in this process. So as I've said, I send myself texts all day. It's my way of and that's my way of whatever ideas pop into my head. Don't get lost. I'll tell you, there's been dozens of times that pretty much the entire premise for a song has popped into my head, even some of the lyrics. And it's just one of those things I never get around to. And so when you don't get around to it, and you don't get around to it, you don't get around to it, in the spur of the moment that those things pop into your head, you just write them off as, whatever, I'll never get around to it anyway, and it just slips away. When inspiration strikes, it's fleeting. You have it for a minute, but then it's gone. So what I've got is just kind of a general idea. I always speak text, so it doesn't exactly come out like what I came up with. I think I mentioned to you where I got that word drapetomania. I read some article about how back in slave days in the 1800s and before, there were certain slaves that didn't want to be slaves. They probably all didn't want to be slaves, but there were particular ones that would try to escape. And these insane people that had slaves figured they were giving these slaves such a wonderful life that why would they ever want to try to escape slavery? So they called in this psychiatrist or whatever from back then, and he coined a term, a mental disorder for slaves who were trying to escape slavery, and he gave it a name, and the name was drapetomania. Because clearly you would have to be crazy to try to escape slavery, right? It's just amazing the terrible things that human beings do. Anyway, thought that was kind of a cool word, so I'm using it. And I'm using schools because I do believe they're prisons. At least in my part of the world, school's mandatory. Had a couple of kids who went through high school a couple of years ago, and if they missed too much school, too many days of school, the school would fine them. You have to pay us money now because you missed too much school. So it was either pay the money or go do some makeup classes. When I was in school, we called it sloughing. I would skip school all the time. I hated it so much. As soon as high school rolled around, after the 10-year hell I had already been through, did I do the math right? So K through 6 is 7 grades, and then 7, 8, and 9 are junior high. 10 grades of hell. I hated it so much. In high school, I kind of figured out, oh, really? I can just skip classes? I skipped a lot. I corrupted my friends into skipping with me, sloughing with me. And, I mean, you would miss whatever went on in school, so I failed some classes and had to make some stuff up. Make up the credit. All while still learning nothing. But fast forward 30 years, or however many years it was before my kids were in high school, and not only do they kind of tattletale to your parents, they keep track of all of that, and if you miss too many days, they take some of your money. Yeah, the only choice you have is to go do some makeup classes, which is, I guess I can see how it's vaguely similar to me having to go to night school or whatever and make up my credits. Anyway, just seems terrible. And if you're, on a school day during the day, if you're out and about walking around, or if you're down at 7-Eleven and the cops catch you, you can get in trouble. I don't know what they'll do. Maybe just make sure that you go directly back to school or something. But you have to be in school. I'm not sure exactly how it works for the lucky kids who get homeschooled. Because that is a thing still today. A much maligned thing, unjustly maligned, but anyway. Okay, so I'm calling schools prisons because mandatorily you have to be there for those 6 hours or whatever it is. So that's a use of force. That's prison. And I'm going to go ahead and use the word slavery in this bridge. And I shouldn't have to explain this, but I will. I fully recognize it's only just a very low-key, partial slavery, and does not compare to the old chattel slavery of probably thousands and thousands of years leading up to and ending in the 1860s in our country. But to my mind, even how do I say this? No, we'll just do it by percentage. Even a 0.001% loss of freedom is slavery. So, all of us who have to pay taxes, and we all do. It doesn't matter if you're the poorest of the poor. You pay sales tax, which is obvious, but you also any product that you buy, the business that produced that product, there are tons of taxes all along the way that those guys have to pay. Do you think they just eat those? Oh, yeah, well, guess we have to pay our tax. No, they add that into the price. So there's all sorts of hidden stuff within the pen that you buy. The cost and then the profit of the manufacturers is, I don't know how much one pen would be. You buy it in a packet for like $1.50 or something. So let's say it's 25 cents. Sorry. One thing you should look up, let's consider a pencil instead of a pen. There's probably something on YouTube about that outlines what that one economist guy, he teaches a lesson of economics by considering a pencil and everything that goes into it. There's all the ingredients that are in the eraser and everything that goes into this brass part that attaches the eraser to the pencil. And then there's the wood itself and everything that happened to, first of all, the loggers have to get the wood out of the forest. And then there are people who use the mill to prepare the wood. And then there's a process that goes through to create these little cylinders that we use as pencils. And then there's a whole process of getting the graphite, right? And then there's a whole process of putting the graphite inside. So it's like dozens of different, maybe it might be 100. I can't remember how many different businesses are involved in making that pencil. And each one of those businesses had to buy some raw materials and had to pay taxes on each of those transactions. And now that I think about it, all of their employees, everybody has to pay taxes on on employment and everything. And so all of that gets added into every transaction, so that when you go and buy your pencil at the store, it might only have cost the manufacturer, including the profit he wants to make, I don't know, 20 cents or 15 cents, but he has to charge you that extra 5 or 10 cents because all of that's an expense to him, right? And it's going to go into the price of the pencil. So if you or consider food, everybody has to eat. Poorest of the poor have to go find food and eat. Well, when you eat, you're paying sales tax and you're paying all of that crap, all of the transactions, all the different businesses that are involved in providing that to you. Each transaction is taxed. Hopefully I've made my point, but taxation is theft and it's slavery. It's a very, compared to being a chattel slave out in the field, it's nothing like that, but it's a partial version of that. Imagine if a slave back in those days, he only had to put in a half hour of work every day for this slave owner, and the other 23 and a half hours he's free. He can do whatever he wants. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Maybe not even a full half hour. 5 minutes a day he has to go pick cotton. So he's a partial slavery, right? Or he's partially enslaved. He has to go pick cotton in the field for 5 minutes, but then he has the rest of his 24, almost his full 24 hours a day. Or maybe let's say it's 1 day a month. So 5 minutes times 30 is 150 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2.5 hours per month. So he just shows up on the first day of every month and works for 2.5 hours in the fields, and he has the rest of the whole month off. It's still terrible that he has to just go work for this 2.5 hours each month. Doesn't have a choice. There's a gun to his head. He's still a slave, but it's a much lower level or more low key or a little bit easier to palate kind of level of slavery than it would be if, 24/7 you are owned by that master, and you, whatever he says, you got to do. It doesn't matter if you haven't slept. It doesn't matter if you're sick. It doesn't matter if you don't want to. You're doing whatever he says, and he'll beat the crap out of you if you don't. You may get killed if you try to escape. He gets to do whatever you want. Your property at that point. Anyway, so I'm not equating the two things. I'm not equating the fact that I have to pay taxes with the kind of slavery that back in the day, 150 years ago, real chattel slaves had to go through. But even just this partial, tiniest bit of enslavement is still evil. All right, here's another analogy. Can't remember the name of that book. There's a book where a kid gets stuck on a boat with a tiger, and he's starving to death, and he's dying of thirst. Anyway, at one point, he's so hungry, he decides to eat the tiger's droppings, the tiger's poop. And as he's eating it, he figures out that, there's no nutrition in this. It's all been extracted by the tiger's digestive system, so this isn't worth eating. Really gross and really terrible, but I bring that up to support the analogy I'm about to make about slavery. You would never, if you somehow, you've got a cat that has diarrhea, let's say, and you somehow collect a bowl full of the cat's diarrhea. No matter how hungry you were, you probably wouldn't eat that. I've never been that hungry. Maybe I think that book was just fiction. It doesn't matter. So you'd never eat that, right? It's freaking gross. Cat poop? Cat diarrhea? Disgusting. Well, what if on the other hand, you went to some restaurant and you ordered the soup and you're about to take your first bite and the waiter says, oh, by the way, the the chef back there, he in the big old cauldron of soup, he added a tablespoon worth of cat diarrhea. But you can't even taste it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Just eat it. Would you want to eat that? That's a tiny percentage of just your bowl. That's maybe, 0.01% of your bowl is adulterated with cat diarrhea. Do you want to eat that? 99.9% of your soup is just soup. It's really delicious, whatever kind of soup you like. But that 0.01% is cat diarrhea. You interested in that soup? Does that sound good? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about slavery. You don't want even 0.01% or 0.00001% of slavery to play a part in your life. It's an evil practice for somebody to kind of treat somebody else's property. Hopefully that's enough of an analogy for y'all. And if you've paid any attention to these lyrics I've written, that's kind of what I'm talking about. When we're in school, we get to get out every day after 6 hours or whatever. We have the rest of our day and all night that we're free to do whatever we want, right? But guess what happens the next morning early? It's back to prison. It's back into slavery. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so I've got imprisonment is a kind of slavery, which is a kind of loss of freedom, which is a kind of death, even if by 1,000 cuts. That's what I've got. So what if we changed it and said imprisonment? Let's stick with it as it is. Maybe we don't even have to use the word slavery. Is a loss of freedom. And a partial loss of freedom. Generally, you start the word freedom with an F, not an R. Is like a partial loss of life. Eventually leading to death by 1,000 cuts. Okay, that's our statement. bar bridge, but does it have to rhyme? Do I have to make it? I don't think so. I got it. Do you feel it yet? What rhymes with yet? Gad, but I don't. I think it's a little weak. Do you begin to feel drapetomania? I think I just want to do that. I don't think I need to. Oh, we'll finish the exercise. Ket let met pat set meh. Okay. So this will be kind of, well, it's not really that much different or that much harder to set to melody, but I want it to be different. Let's start with the start. Where's our music? Right there. Something like that. Sorry, I'm just thinking this all through in my head, how this could go. Like that. Oh, it doesn't. Do you begin to feel Do you begin to feel kind of weird? Doesn't really fit in black and white. I'm going to feel. Do you begin to feel? Well, we'll worry about that later. It is what it is. So what were those chords? Mm. What did I just do? Is that a C minor chord? It's an E major. Mm. Mm. Begin to feel. Begin to feel. It's such a weird little rhythm. It's just making my mind explode. But this right here. If I've got it right, I'm using a second inversion flatted 7 chord. What if that's how it starts? Well, anyway, that part. Do. Do do. Feel it yet. Do you feel it yet? Do you feel it yet? So, the idea in the back of my mind is to build to something. Feels like a B flat chord to me. Kind of the favorite chord for this song. Okay, changing my mind here. 1 and 2. It is a half rest. Good thing I erased it. Now I have to draw it again. Do you feel it yet? One and 2 and 3 and 4. Feel it. Taking up way too much space, but that's okay. Do you feel it yet? Weird, but we'll make it work. Oh, for Pete's sake. So we've got Do you feel it yet? Do you feel it yet? Yet? Do you feel it yet? Do you begin to feel? Do you begin to feel? Trypanomania. Well, let's go with that. How about that? What about all this stuff up here? Oh, that might be enough for now. We're over an hour. So we'll pick this up later. Or at least gonna take a break. Anyway, that's our, I guess I could call it the second half of the bridge. That I'm trying to build. Okay, so kind of forgot I wanted to do that.